Merry Christmas. So today we wanted to present 3 easy to make craft projects for the Christmas season. One of them we're going to try and keep track of the time, and we're hoping that we can do this project in, we're hoping, under 15 minutes. But all 3 of the projects are pretty simple, just fun little things that you can try for yourself and add to your little Christmas decoration collection.
Here we go.
All right.
So you may have remembered before Halloween. If you don't remember, you can watch the video that
Yes,
we
you
made.
can.
But we just took a 4x4 and made these simple little pumpkin decorations. We're going to take that exact same idea and turn it into presents. Well, we're not going to turn them into. We're going to take the same idea, only make presents instead of pumpkins. So this is something, if you look at Etsy, it's all over the place on Etsy, and it's a lot cheaper to make, and it's pretty simple as long as you have a way to cut the 4x4s.
And luckily for us, I keep a lot of scrap wood, which she hates, but I've got another scrap 4x4. So that's going to be used for 2 of the projects, and we'll see how they turn out.
I did go and buy some ribbon. You'll see we're going to basically cut the gift shape and then put ribbon on it to decorate it with. We were at Michael's. This was buy one, get 3 free, which was a great deal. So we picked up 4 of them with the piece of baking. But this is the one we're going to time since we already did it before. We don't have to put stems on it. This should be a very basic cut, paint, when it dries, put the ribbon on.
All right, so now as Stephanie said, we'll start a timer from the beginning of starting this little project. We'll try and keep track for you all so that we can just see how long this really takes. All right, I'll go ahead and start it. All right. And Santa hat's coming off. Big glasses. Okay, and what's nice about having a 12-inch miter saw is I was able to do straight cuts, but if you've got an 8 or a 10-inch, you can just spin your 4x4 and get all the way through. You can also cut them with a simple circular saw. Just make sure that you keep your cuts nice and straight. So Stephanie is going to paint while I begin the next project. I like that stuff. I mean, this is a nice, simple project that is honestly, like we said, we're timing that one, but it's really easy. It's fun. You can put your own twist on it, but Stephanie's doing a nice, quick job. And like she said, I appreciate the hustle. It is very easy to go out and get new paint. And you know what? If that's in your budget, that's great. But it's also nice if you've got extra paint from other projects to use it. And you know what? Next year you might have different paint and you can repaint these and reuse them. Really simple thing that if you want to keep these crafts or throw them out, either way, they're really simple and quick.
Okay, so we're just over 11 minutes. I'm going to stop our timer because we're going to let the paint dry. We're not going to count that in our time. Then we'll come back and add the ribbons on afterwards. But so 11 minutes.
So far, so good.
Yeah, it's a pretty quick project, honestly. Throwing the ribbon on hopefully will be pretty quick. I'm going to try and learn a couple little fancy things for the top of it. Okay, so it is much later than when we started this project, like always. And I'm going to come back and do some of the next steps. Everything obviously has dried. And then I'm going to work on timing and finishing the ribbon on our Christmas presents. Okay, we left off with the presents at 11 minutes and 9 seconds. We were shooting for 15 minutes or under 15 minutes. So I'm just gonna wrap these up. Then I'm gonna work on making the bows. And I'll be honest, it's probably gonna take me outside of 15 minutes because I've never really used this type of ribbon to make a bow before. Another thing to be transparent about is, as I shared before, I got a great deal on the ribbon. But looking back, I wish I would have gotten a thicker ribbon and probably a wired one to make the bow. If you are somebody who makes fancy bows, then this won't be a problem for you at all. If you're like me and that's not something you've done before, I found some YouTube videos to try. I watched several of them to get an idea of how to do it, but you can also just buy a bow or a decoration to put on top also if you want to. So I am going to pick up with my time now. Okay, so we're at 14 minutes and 34 seconds right now to get to the point of this. So I did the way I did the ribbon on this. It does create so it's not a perfectly flat bottom on these presents. I don't care so much about that because we're doing this just as a fun, quick thing for our own house. If I were trying to sell these, I would probably have done it the opposite way and maybe stapled on the bottom and some stuff like that. But I'll play around with it a little bit and get it to flatten out and then fix the top up with a bow. So at this point, you can, like I said, buy a bow, slap it on, make a bow, put something else on top. I saw one that had like holly leaves and the berries and things like that. That was really pretty too. So you can customize it however you want. And that's kind of the nice thing with this project and kind of these simple ones like we've made. If you like different colors for Christmas, these are kind of, darker colors. Maybe you like the really bright, like the Grinch kind of red and green colors. You can do that. You could do, some people have like the blues and whites for their holidays. You can do that. You can make it however you want, which is what I like about customizing them. So I'm going to keep working on the bows right now, and then we'll get back to painting the next thing. Okay, I have somewhat of a bow going. It's not perfect, but I also just tied the top like a shoelace, and honestly, it's pretty simple, but I like the look of that too. So if you don't feel like getting creative or trying different things, or you're short on ribbon, or you can just do that too. Works great. This one's kind of weird, but it has a little something more on the top. So let's see how I'm going to attach it. The video I saw on here used pipe cleaners, I think it was, something like that, to attach everything. That was a good idea. I don't have pipe cleaners. I'm just using this little ribbon. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so there's the finished presents. As I said, we were just under 15 minutes to get to the point of putting the ribbon on the actual block of wood. The bows took me a lot longer. So you could always buy a bow, make them ahead of time, learn how to make them really good, or just put a different topper on it like the holly and berries.
So for this next project, we're going to make a little Christmas calendar ornament with the two blocks with the numbers. So honestly, the fun part about this is I don't really know how it's going to turn out or what design we're going to use, but we're going to use this scrap 4x4 and see what we come up with. One thing I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut all the way through. Then I'm going to use the miter saw and I'm going to go ahead and use the adjustment so that I can do a bunch of little rip cuts in here, clean out a middle area that the blocks will go in, and we can move forward with that. If you've got a circular saw, you can do the same thing. Same thing with a table saw. So now I kind of want to get an idea of where I'm going to cut this out. What I'm thinking is that with the Christmas calendar, it'll be upright. I'll have an area cut out for the blocks, And then on the top, maybe we could write Merry, on the bottom Christmas, something like that. I'm not really sure right now. Stephanie's kind of the designer. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out the area, and then I'll use the other scrap piece to cut a couple of blocks that'll fit in there. So I decided I put a couple lines on there. I wasn't happy at first with the top, so I'm going to leave the top about 2 inches. I'm going to leave the bottom about 1.5 inches. And actually, I think this was 2.5 inches, so that we have about a 2-inch block, each block in the middle. So now what you want to make sure is take your time with the depth gauge, set it where you want it. Kind of a trial and error on this one. So you can set your 4x4 next to it, and you see how deep that's going to go. That's much deeper than I want these cuts to be. And a lot of times after you do this, you need to clean it out with a chisel. So that's about the depth that I want this to be at. So always watch your hands on this. What I like to do is get the outside ones done, then I can work in the middle. So now with the miter saw, with the round blade, you're obviously going to get more depth on one side. So I'm going to be going back and forth this way. I'll spin it and do the same thing on the other side. All right, full transparency. I started cutting where I wasn't supposed to on the other one, so I cut another scrap piece. I'm going to outline it again, and this time I'm going to do it right. So now you can see I've got the outline on here. I'm going to take a chisel, clean this out a little bit. One thing I suggest you do is invest in a nice set of chisels. I've not done that, but very handy when you're doing cleanup work. So I want to ask Stephanie right now before I go further, you know, the top is obviously, or it can be the bottom, much thicker. Got 1.5 and 2.5. You know, we could go that way. That way you can write whatever you want on there, paint it whatever color. Right now, I also can cut it down. I can cut it down a little bit later. This was the important part, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a scrap piece of 4x4 and cut blocks that fit in here. And then we'll probably paint the blocks and just paint the numbers on. I mean, we could take a Dremel, maybe we'll decide that, and kind of carve it out for the number. But anyway, the base is completed unless we want to cut off some of the top. Do you have any opinion, Steph?
No, I like this to be the bottom. I'm thinking we'll have the numbers, and then I can say like days to Christmas or something. Perfect. On the bottom like that.
I like that. Okay. So, and once again, we'll clean this up with the sander at the end, but it's a nice fun project whenever you put some paint on it and stuff. You know what? This is going to be something that is easy to do, easy to use. I'm just using scrap 4x4. It's got a crack in it, but it's kind of a cool weathered look. So easy for you to handle. So, oops. So once we paint it and everything, we'll sand it, but we'll have the numbers on there and easy to change out.
Well, the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to get this cleaned up, stained. We're going to paint the blocks, and then we'll figure out how we want to, we'll figure out how we want to put the numbers on before we paint it. But I'm going to get this stained, and we're going to plan for these. This is our little Christmas countdown we're going to make, which I stained a lot darker. I really like the dark walnut. If you've seen our other videos, I like to use that. I don't like it as much on here. I wish I would have done kind of a lighter color, but I think it'll still help the writing kind of pop when I paint that on there. But I need to paint our blocks and get those ready so we can put the numbers on them. For the numbers in our Christmas countdown, I'm just painting these blocks white. It's a buttermilk. Okay, while we started with this and that dark stain, I think I might have even mentioned it before, we kind of hated it. It just got too dark and it didn't look like what we were going for really. So we threw on kind of like a thick whitewash on top of it. We're gonna work on kind of pivoting the design of it now. Here's what we're learning. We did not plan out our days until Christmas countdown as well as we should have. We had just a very basic idea of what we wanted, and we were just kind of going along with it as we went. But what has happened, obviously you've seen that we've changed the color 3 times because I didn't know what I wanted it to look like. And now we just realized because of the size of the blocks, and they're more of a rectangle instead of a square, we can't actually fit the blocks in there and turn it to all different sides of the block, which we need to be able to do to put our numbers on there. So Dustin's gonna cut the blocks down again, and then I'll repaint the new fresh edge of it and continue figuring out what we're going to do here. I'm toying with the idea, here's my scrap art, of creating some kind of like a Christmas garland that would go around the edge and the side.
A while ago, I had some 2x4s that I ripped lengthwise through the table saw, and then, you know what, I glued them together and tried to make them in a round shape. We'll sand this a little bit nicer to round this off a little bit more. But what we're going to do is we're going to turn this into what looks like a, why can I not think of the word, not present, ornament. So we're going to put a little top on there. So what I'm doing here is I line this up so I can get the same width. I'm just using a scrap piece of 4x4 again. So, you know, be careful. I had my fingers closed, but I was trying to be careful. Made this initial cut. I don't have to get all the way through. So then I can lay this down with a little more control. Then I can cut it crosswise. And then I'm going to have a piece that's bigger than I need. From there, I can measure out how I want to design this, because, you know, the ornaments have those little caps on top, and that's what we're going for here. So I'm going to make this next cut. As you can see, that's about exactly the width I need. Now, I am going to use Stephanie's help, but I want to round this first, I guess, and then we're going to sand this top a little bit nicer, because this is just held together, I should say this also, with wood glue. And I mean, it's pretty darn sturdy, but so we're going to sand this side a little bit, and then once it's rounded off a little bit, what we'll do is we'll just put, I'll cut this down so it's not as wide, and then you just lean it over the top a little bit, trace around here, and then you have the exact angle that you want. And I'm just going to use a jigsaw and cut that out. And then we'll be able to sit it right on top of there, and it'll be a nice, we'll just wood glue that on there. So we actually decided, instead of trying to measure the curve, because I was going to put it on here, draw a line on the back, we actually like how it really looks sitting on there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some wood glue, I'm going to clamp this on here. We'll let this dry overnight, and then this will be ready to be painted or whatever we want to do with it. So really simple. It's nice to use projects that maybe you started before that you might not have had an idea for, or you might have thought of something different, and you know what? Reuse them or turn them into something different.
Oh, it's cute. It stays on good. I think we'll add like a little, probably like a twine little loop to hang it from on the top, like you would if you were hanging it on the tree. And I'm just going to figure out how exactly we're going to paint it, whether we're going to write something on it or just do a little design. So I'm going to get started. Okay, I'm going to go with red for the ornament. Then I haven't decided yet if we're, I saw one that said merry and bright, or maybe we'll just do a design. I'm not sure, but just to get started, I'm going to use this red. This is barn red. This was something I used for another project. So I used it on the 4x4 gift presents that we just made. These kind of darker colors are what we have a lot of in our house. So that all means, again, this is when we're use whatever fits your style, your house, and what you want.
All right, so
Finished.
we wanted to show you our Christmas crafts, the projects that we were able to do, just some simple ones that you can do around your house with scrap lumber. And, want to talk about how they came out, what we liked, what we didn't like.
Yeah, and as you saw, we try, like always, to use what we have. So we did scrap wood. I used craft paint. I already had paintbrushes we've had since the kids were little, for the most part. And then the ribbon that I did buy, I know I already shared on that, that I got a deal on at the store. So we want to start with the blocks.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm really happy with the way these turned out. Just like the pumpkins, they were a really simple project. Learning the bows was what took the longest, but this is the one that, except for the bows, we knocked it out in less than 15 minutes. I think it's nice because you can customize them, which I think I shared on that too. But I mean, you can use whatever colors you want, whatever type of ribbon you want, and really make it what fits your house. Even the size of them can be customized. So just a really simple project that I think, as long as you have something to cut the wood, anybody can do this.
Yeah, I think that Stephanie said this one's simple, and she saw the vision more than I did, even. But she brought it really together, in my opinion, with the bows, and that just totally changed it, obviously. But they look really nice together. You can put them on. Got a little shelf or right outside the door, and they just look really nice together. So I'm really happy with how they came out.
So this one, you didn't see us build this because I think Dustin already explained how he had done it. This was something we had put together and never finished. So he added the little top on. We ended up using some of the new ribbon I bought just to create a little
hanger.
It's not a hook, yeah, like a hanger to make it look even more like an ornament. And then I just freehand painted on here. Again, I like just freehanding it because I don't want to take the time with stencils and to figure it all out. But if you want it to be, neat or just a certain way, you can always use stencils on your lettering. Anything. I'm really happy with the way this one turned out.
Yeah, like one thing that I want to say is, like Stephanie said, I'm thrilled with how this one turned out. Like I think that this, along with the presents, were just simple things that we'll use over and over again. And these are actually, I think we talked about it, but we ripped some 2x4s down to give us more projects at one point. And then there's actually just 3 2x4s that are cut differently that are held together by wood glue. And we put the little top on there also with wood glue. And I really like how it came out.
Another thing I really like about this is we have a couple other circles that we had made last year in different sizes. We had kind of fake hung this up on our wall to see what it would look like. And I think it'd be really neat to have some different sized ones with different decorations on it to decorate if you have a larger space to do. So again, this one's a simple one where there's a lot of ways to customize it. Overall, this one, slightly more complicated than the blocks because like he said, he had to rip the wood down and then get it all like you know, glue it together,
sanded it
sand
so
it
it was flat
out.
on the front. We didn't worry about the back.
Still fairly easy.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you want a really easy way to do this, go to Walmart or Michael's and you can buy a circle of wood and paint and decorate it how you want. More expensive, but it can be done. Okay. This one was our tricky one. As you saw through the progression that we went through on it, we didn't start with a strong plan on it, and it continued to evolve as we went. Would you agree?
Yeah, we started off, at least, I don't think that we even communicated with each other on that one. It was like she might have a vision, I had a vision, and we started off going really rustic. As you can see, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but you know, I used one of our rougher scrap pieces of 4x4, and I thought, oh, this would just be cool, rustic, and Stephanie actually stained it, and we both agreed that
we hated it. It was too dark.
I didn't want to show.
It didn't look good.
So Stephanie saved it by repainting it. Then she put some words on there, and then actually drew out, what is this called?
Like a holly garland?
Yeah, holly garland or something. And so then it was like, hey, she's got it just how we want it. And then realized one more thing is we did not cut the blocks to perfect squares. I cut them to fit in the opening.
So they were rectangles and they stood up taller.
Yeah, and it filled the opening nicely, which I liked. But the problem was we have to use all sides, so all 6 sides, to make it work so that you can number out the calendar throughout the month. And that required us to cut it down so that they were nice squares. Problem is you do have this gap on here. You know, in all honesty, I still think it looks pretty nice. And if we redid it again, I would close that gap, obviously. There's a couple things I would do differently, but I'm really happy. It's fun. I encourage you to get out there, try something. That's the fun part of it. 2 out of 3 is not bad, you know, and we're happy with 2 out of 3 projects. So
yeah, and we used the same few supplies on all of it. We used the same paint colors on everything, which is nice because then they all go together. But we also had them on hand. We used similar ribbon, all from one packaging, so it can be really an affordable way to get some extra Christmas decorations in your house when everything costs a lot of money right now.
That's the truth. And hey, you know, it's worth a shot, and you see what you like and what you would do differently next time. And, you know, we're still happy we did it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we would love to see anyone else's homemade projects, you know, with some scrap stuff you got around your house, and see what you can come up with.
So we have some other projects coming up. We're making a recipe box as a Christmas present for someone. We have some wedding signs we're going to be making for our daughter, as we shared about. And
are we going to make a snowman or...
Oh, yes. And we have another winter project coming up. So that's all for this one, but we'll see you next time.